extraterrestrial reality. Well, there's still a lot of things to talk about after this week. This was a very big week, but there's a lot of things to talk about right now, and some of those things include an update on this Las Vegas alien incident. Now, there's a lot of people on my YouTube channel and on my Spotify channel who it's like mixed reviews on this. A lot of people think it's real, and there are a lot of people who thinks it's a hoax. Now, one of the reasons why it's been some people are saying it's a hoax is because of the circle that was there was a picture of a circle that was in the yard. Apparently, after this incident happened, a police officer had pointed out that there's a circle in the yard, and Angel and I guess his brother and his father assumed that this circle was from the craft, but apparently that circle was there before because somebody on Twitter had done a Google Earth search and noticed that that circle was always there apparently. But other than that, outside of the circle, right, the imprint in the ground, which I still think actually needs more investigation before putting that to rest. I think there's more to that yet. There's other aspects to this case are that are very interesting and still intriguing, and there's just, some things that are still coming out. Like for instance, if you look on your screen right now, I'm on Twitter, and this was an image from a short little video that's been going around that Angel had taken of this creature during the early morning hours of May 1st in Las Vegas. And if you look at this image, you could see there's something there. It looks like there's something there possibly. And this isn't the only. There's a moving image which I'll get into a little bit here, but you can see you can see that this is the head here. You can see like a big eye right here, and another big eye right here, barely, but you can see it. And then you can see like what looks like an exoskeleton kind of chest here. And actually, this being to me, like I said early on, I thought it sounded like it could have been a praying mantis type being because it was so tall. And to me, this image looks like it possibly could be real. And this was from some of the video that he did take. Now, there are people out there saying it's a hoax because I would have taken the video. I would have taken the video. Why come he didn't take any video? Well, he did take some video, and this is what he was able to capture at least something. Apparently, he captured at least something. And here's the other thing, like I talked about before, when these things happen, right? This isn't trying to look for excuses for people, but when these things happen, you're just never prepared for it. I actually did a whole podcast on this months and months ago about you're just not prepared when these extraterrestrial encounters happen. You just don't see it coming. You're just not ready. Right. And you're just not thinking straight either. And apparently, according to this guy, Angel, he wasn't thinking straight when all this was going on. And the other thing that he talked about was that it went pretty fast. It was only a few seconds. Like this thing landed. He heard just like a crashing sound or whatever, a landing sound. They went out and they investigated. And when they first looked out there in the yard, it looked like there was something there that was blurry. And then after a few seconds, like 6-7 seconds, he said, then the blurriness went away, and he was able to see these two beings walking around, moving around. And he did actually was able to capture some of these, an image of one of these beings, apparently. If you look at this picture, of course, is it fuzzy and hazy? Of course it is. But again, you have to think about the duress that it was taken under. But to me, this looks like it could be the extraterrestrial that he's talking about. Outside of the imprint in the ground, which was something that was suggested to Angel that could be where that thing landed. That was suggested, so he assumed that it was, and then I guess he didn't realize that circle was there the whole time. If in fact that's the case, there needs to be more investigation into that, I believe. But again, I don't see like people are again calling this a hoax without waiting for more information. From what I'm seeing so far, I think this is real. And another thing that people apparently aren't keeping in mind is the fact that this could be the other thing they're not keeping in mind is the fact that this family could get arrested for this. The guy Angel who made that phone call to the cops, that's a false police report. You can go to jail for that. Why would somebody want to take a chance on doing something like that, going to jail over something like this? Now, granted, there are hoaxes that happen sometimes. There's just no question about it. I talk about, there was one, I think it was back in 2007, somewhere around there, I think, where there was a Bigfoot hoax. There was some guy that claimed that he had a Bigfoot. I've talked about this on the show before, and he said he had it on ice in a big box, and it turned out to be a big joke. Right in the end, I don't think this is a joke. I'm not seeing that with this. I mean, there were some images. There was you had there's some proof to go along with it. You had the noise, the sound of this thing coming down to the ground that you hear on the that was on the surveillance video. So I've talked about that in the previous podcast that I did on this. So there was the sound of that. You have the witnesses they didn't seem like they're a bunch of liars. I mean, the angel, the way he was talking, seemed like he was telling the truth. It didn't seem like this guy was lying. He was telling a story that an experience that he had. I think that he's telling the truth. Hey, it could turn out that I'll end up with egg on my face at some point, but at this point, I think he might be telling the truth. But again, there's people out there screaming. Some people writing in all caps, "This guy's a hoaxer." Oh, how do you know that? Why? Because some people, some randos on Twitter that nobody knows of or ever heard of before, are saying that they think it's a hoax. I mean, what's going on here? I mean, give this story some time to breathe and get some more traction, and maybe get some more information out there. Apparently, there will be more things coming out. I would love to interview these people, at least Angel, hopefully, or I hope somebody does. I like to see some more interviews, or there have been some already, and I don't think he is lying. But if you look at, there's another thing here. I'm going to scroll down here on this page, on this Twitter page. This, by the way, this was put up by Anonymous Shadow on Twitter, and I'm going to go to. There was a video here. Look at this video here, where you can see again. It's grainy, but look at inside this circle. You see a head moving. You see eyes opening up. Like, look at, there's eyes right here opening up. This was like one of these things was out there in the backyard hiding. Apparently, you could see something. If there's something here, this is evidence. This is all of the evidence. You have the body cam footage from the police officer, which of course debunkers are out there just completely dismissing it, and we'll get into that in a minute. You have the body cam footage of the police officer showing an object coming down. You have the sound of the object hitting, a sound of something hitting the ground, right? On some surveillance footage. You do have some videos. You have the body cam footage of the police showing up at the house, and these people obviously alarmed by what was happening. And you have some video showing what looks like a creature. Look at it. Looks like it's a head in here moving, looking up. And you see eyes opening up, two eyes opening up. So there is some evidence out there. While it might be minute, at least it's something. For the people out there saying, "Hey, I would have got the video of it," well, actually, it looks like he did get some video of it. So I think some people have been jumping to conclusions calling this a hoax when I don't think it is a hoax. I mean, again, hey, you never know. There are things that sometimes people who study this, they get fooled sometimes. So far, if it is a hoax, right, I'm being fooled pretty big right now. But I don't think that these people are lying. So we're going to get out of this screen, and I'm going to go to a different screen to show something else here. And this is with regard to one of the big debunkers. Of course, people, they don't even want, the debunkers out there don't even want to go there with this one. They don't even want to look into it. Here is from Mick West. This is a post from June 8th, and he puts on Twitter, the Las Vegas spaceship and 10-foot tall alien visitor. I don't know why some of UFO Twitter is interested in this, but the green light was a meteorite. The story is just a story. How do you know the green light is just a meteorite? Where's your freaking proof, Mick? You're just making this stuff from he's sitting back in the comfort of his gaming armchair, making stuff up, issuing proclamations. Did he go out there and interview anybody? Did he go out there and do any soil analysis on where this thing allegedly landed? Did he talk to the witnesses? Nothing. He just, again, and then this guy has 30,000 followers on Twitter, and this post has 84,000 views. So think about all the heads he's filling with dumb information. And there was more posts. I'm not going to get into it all, but again, you see, he's not even going to touch this with a 10-foot pole. As far as he's concerned, the meteorite is, it's just the meteorite. That's all it is.
as far as the rest of it is just a story. There's no such thing as extraterrestrials. There's absolutely no proof whatsoever. I don't believe it. So that means everyone in the whole world, there's no reason to believe in this because it's just not true.
And then, of course, there's the Michael Shermers of the world. He had to show his head this week. Oh, this even brought Michael Shermer. Of course, he's a big time skeptic. It brought him out of the woodwork. All of this stuff, not just this, but I mean the David Grusch story, and there's more stories coming into play here. So, yeah, to me, right, I think that there's some legitimacy to this Las Vegas story. I have yet to see any, there's nothing that shows me that, oh, this is a complete, absolute hoax. It's just people's feelings. People feel like this guy's pulling a hoax on them. Well, I don't see it. I don't see that. I don't see it one bit. I see somebody who, that I see a story that could possibly be real. And I'm just going to go back one more time to the other screen that I was at before to look at that image one more time from the, where is it? There we go. Anonymous shadow. I mean, again, first you have this thing right here. I mean, obviously, it looks like it's something, right? Well, I mean, what kind? I mean, let's all talk about this. Let's all think about this whole situation for a second. Okay, now, this thing, everyone saw that object coming down from the sky on the police officer's body cam footage, right? We all say that. We all saw that. There's no denying that happened, right? That was real, whatever that was, right? Now, you have the bunkers out there, skeptics saying, "Oh, it's just a meteorite," right? But it all coincided with this incident happening. So people are going to, are people out there really going to believe that these people, the angel and his family, saw this meteorite coming down and say, "Hey, you know what? Let's hurry up and pull off a hoax. We'll call up 911, say there's alien beings in the backyard, right? And then we'll just hurry up and put some video footage together of an extraterrestrial creature, real blurry. We'll get all this stuff together, and we'll just make a big hoax and make $1 million." That's all bogus. In fact, he's saying he's not even out to make any money on this. So this is all nonsense to say these kind of things. So anyway, let's go back here. Let's go back up to the other image again. Well, where is it? Oh, I'm in the wrong spot. Okay, hold on. Whoops. Okay, I lost my place. Sorry. But anyway, regardless, I don't believe it's. I don't think this is a hoax. I just don't think it is. I think it's real. That's what I think. And I think, hey, again, maybe I'll be proven wrong in the future, and maybe I'll end up with a egg all over my face. I look like a complete. I'll be a dum for once. Okay, that might happen, right? I don't care if it does happen. What if say that does happen? What does it change? It doesn't change anything. Okay, somebody pulled a hoax, right? And some people believed it, and they figured out. Then they realized at the end, oh, it was all phony. So what? Right? It doesn't change anything, right? Because again, I have an ace up my sleeve, as do a lot of other people. I know for a fact that these things are here, right? Because I've had my own experiences. All right, I'm going to check out some of the comments here. Hello, everybody. Of course, everyone's saying hello to me. T-Bone and futuristically minded. Lord Humongous says, if it is a hoax, they can get in some serious trouble for calling 911. Precisely. If it's a hoax, there's some people, you can go to jail for that. So I don't see why anybody would do that. I can't imagine doing something like that. That'd be stupid, right? Why would somebody pull something like that off? Oh, it wouldn't be worth it. It wouldn't be worth it. Jesse Vivera says, I don't know. The cops were scared and left with apparently the aliens on the roof. Yeah, the cops you could actually tell that the cops were scared. One of the cops you heard in one of the videos was suggesting, hey, you should shoot one of them, right? Apparently, one of the people in that family, I believe the father, has an open carry permit. So apparently there was some firearms in that household, and they could have shot and killed one of these things if they wanted to. They could have tried. Who knows what would have happened? Oh, who knows? That might have. I don't know if the aliens would stand there and take that. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe, hey, too bad in a way, I guess. In a way, I don't want to say this. I hate to see someone do something like that, but in a way, if they did do it, then this is the end game. We have reached end game. Forget about everything else that's been going on this past week. Here's an extraterrestrial body. Here's a praying mantis from outer space. What do you think now? I guarantee you, though, if that would have happened, the government would have swooped in. Those people would have been incommunicado right now. Probably they'd probably be disappear for a month and then show back up with a couple $1 million in their bank account and some new vehicles, and they would never talk to the press or anybody about this ever again. Possibly. Depends on what kind of person the people they are. We don't really know. That's a possibility. That did happen, though. Of course, the story, as the story goes, with Mac Brazel back in Roswell back in 1947. He disappeared for a while, and when he came back, he was driving a brand new truck. And remember, there was a reward up for anybody who finds a flying saucer, but he never was able to talk about it publicly after that. You know, so again, these people, the debunkers, the skeptics, the press, the mainstream press, for the most part, isn't really doing much about this. It's only the local news channels that you ever see that will carry a story like this. Okay, let's see. Lord Humongous says, I heard that the kid said it was like the being was blurring itself somehow. Yeah. Yeah, these beings obviously have powers that we can't even begin to understand. Military, that's Shannon's here. Hello, Shannon. Say1 P. Who cares about Angel? Focus on Grusch. Well, I'm going to get into Grusch. Say1, take it easy, buddy. Calm down. Calm down. Don't worry. I'll get into all of that. And believe I have a lot more to say on everything else. Don't worry about that. Proving alien. Evening all. You Lord Remug, does anyone else around there have like ring cameras or cameras on their homes that caught something, is what I am wondering. Yeah, James Fox called him a hoaxer. Now okay, this is from Say1. James Fox did call him a hoaxer. Then he turned tail a little bit. Now he wants to do some more investigation. Just because James Fox says something right out of the gate. Again, James Fox, I'm a little bit surprised. He sees a story. Oh, it's a fake. Like, how could anybody just look at something and immediately come to this as a hoax? I think more investigation is required. Again, more egg on face, I don't care. Right now, I think it seems to me that it's real. But we'll find out as time goes on. It doesn't matter because these things do happen. There are things, people have seen creatures like what has been described by these people before. It's not like nothing new. Futuristically minded, the interesting thing to me, I saw another perspective of the object falling. It made a really weird swishing sound. I brought that up to somebody and they called it typical for meteor, but I don't know. Jesse, yeah, I heard that was from that sound when you hear it landing. It sounded strange. So there's a lot of other comments here. So Say1 says it's a hoax. I don't know why it's not a hoax. I don't believe it's a hoax. That's your opinion. That's not my opinion. I don't hold that opinion. I do not hold that opinion at this point. Before I was to start calling something like this a hoax, I would need more information. That's why the people on the other side who just come out blatantly calling it a hoax. I mean, you need to get more information before you start calling people a bunch of liars and hoaxers. I don't think it is. Okay, Rob Heatherly says, we need to suspend the determination with Vegas until more conclusive evidence emerges. Can't afford to risk credibility at this point. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm just saying at this point in time, I believe that it was real. I think more information needs to come out on it, though. It does need more investigation. Like those videos that we're seeing that are popping up on Twitter need to be looked at some more. Okay, where are we at here? JMCG says something came down somewhere. If it wasn't where these people are claiming, then we need an alternative site. Debunkers need to at least provide a possible alternate theory on where that might be. Okay. All right, that's enough of that one. Okay, we're going to go off and talk about David Grusch and a lot of other things too. It's not just him, but there's another whistleblower that's talking too right now, and it's some people are just. There's a lot of people out there in the world of the non-believers who are really, really upset about this. Now, first, I want to go over this story with the Compass Rose attorneys leaving walking away from David Grusch. Like, I don't see what the big deal is with this story. Actually, I'm trying to understand. Apparently, this Compass Rose attorneys, formerly in association with UAP whistleblower David Grusch, and this was in the debrief. Okay, they did their part. Now, I looked at this story and I'm wondering, why is this big news? And even the writer who wrote this like tries to make it sound more like it's something it's like that it's not. Like they're distancing themselves now or something. Apparently this attorney firm did a job and now they're done and they're moving on. They this is what they do. They file these kind of they help clients with these kind of complaints. The complaint was filed and now there's going to be another stage to this. Apparently, I don't see what the big deal is here. But if all the debunkers out there in the world are pointing to this, see, the lawyers think it's too crazy now. That's nonsense. That's total nonsense. The people out there right this week, right, with all the stuff that's coming out with you had the anonymous sources talking to Michael Schellenberger for public at Substack about the 12 crashes, right? That they're having problems with that. Actually, let's look at some of I'm going to go before we get into this Compass Rose legal team story. I just want to point something out here. There's there's people out there going nuts right now over the idea about the 12 recovered craft that's been, some of these anonymous sources told Michael Schellenberger that the United States has recovered over the years, right? And I'm gonna show you some of the one of the comments that I thought was just hilarious. Let's see here. I think this is it. No, there we go. Yeah, this is from a guy named Jordan Schachtel. Okay, this guy has 258,000 followers, right? And he's putting out a statement on Twitter in all caps saying, "How stupid do you have to be to believe that aliens found a way to travel at warp speed and then proceeded to mistakenly crash a series of UFOs that all look like something from the movies on a planet that is millions of light years away?" And it's got a whole bunch of likes, a whole bunch of people, you know. And then there's a guy named Think Tank that called him out, says, is this what a meltdown looks like? Writing in all caps just like he did. And Skeptical Believer says, "Why, yes, I believe it is. Yeah, it is what a meltdown is." And I think about how stupid that statement is. I mean, you hear this statement. Obviously, there's a lot of people in this world, right? A lot of people who just never investigated this kind of stuff, have no understanding of the history of this, never read a book on it. And then when something big happens like this, they jump to this. Like, how stupid are the aliens, right? That they crash 12 craft, right? That we recovered 12 craft. They come all the way from some other planet and then crash here, right? You think about this. Now, think about how stupid that statement is. Okay, over the course of what, 78 years, since like 1945, we'll start in 1945. That's 78 years, okay? Now, according to data from the National Transportation Safety Board and the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, there are 12.5 commercial airline crashes per year. Okay. And it looks like there's at least 1,000 general aviation crashes per year. So we have a lot of crashes ourselves, right? These extraterrestrials, they're only having a crash every 6.5 years. If you do the math, I mean, they're saying there's 12 recoveries, right? Well, that means every 6.5 years on average, that's when one of these alien craft crashes. Right. And these other people, these people who have no idea what they're talking about, that have big followings, that are making absurd statements like this online, right? They just can't, they're not thinking this through. For one thing, they're making a statement, they're reacting, and they think everyone's stupid. Yeah, how stupid would it be to think something like that? But they don't realize how stupid they look, because they never thought it through. They never studied it. They don't have no idea what they're talking about. They don't realize, they don't look at the statistics for crashes that humans have from aircraft on an annual basis, just in this country alone, and then compare that with the alleged 12 recoveries of alien craft. And they also have this idea in their head that the flying saucer itself, right? They don't, because they never study this. They don't know what they're talking about. Apparently, these flying saucers come out of bigger ships. There are bigger ships coming here. It's not like like in their minds, they think that we think little green alien pops into a little flying saucer with a bubble on it and flies through space 100 million light years and then shows up here. That's the way they think we think. And it's so stupid. No, there's giant craft that are carrying these things that show up here, and they come out of that. Apparently, that's how it's been going on, because there have been giant ships spotted many times. Again, they're idiots. They're just, there's a lot of idiots out there that are making fools out of themselves over this. They're just, again, it makes no sense to me whatsoever. Anyway, let's get out of this screen and go on, because there's a lot more to talk about. I want to get back to the other story I was talking about. And let's see here. Yeah, regarding the story today in the debrief about, this was from something that Think Tank posted, and he wrote, "Official statement from Compass Roads. This only adds credibility to what David Grusch is alleging. There was retaliation because against David Grusch because of what he knows." And this is from the article. It says here, "The whistleblower disclosure did not speak to the specifics of the alleged classified information that Mr. Grusch has now publicly characterized, and the substance of that information has always been outside of the scope of Compass Rose's representation. Compass Rose took no position and takes no position on the contents of the withheld information. The ICIG found Mr. Grusch's assertion that information was inappropriately concealed from Congress to be urgent and credible in response to the file disclosure. Compass Rose brought this matter to the ICIG's attention through lawful channels and successfully defended Mr. Grusch against retaliation. It's like it's a done deal. Like, so again, it seems like people are trying to make a bigger deal out of this than it really is. I mean, who cares? I mean, they did their part. Now they're moving on. There's no story here. I mean, really, but there are people out there trying to make it a story. There are a lot of people out there trying to make it a story. Oh, yeah, and it's upsetting to see all this stuff. Okay, let's move on here. I want to check out another story, another big story that's coming out this week, and this is with regard to this Marine vet who breaks a 14-year silence. And this is published in the Daily Mail. Again, the people are having the bunkers are having conniption fits online over all this stuff. Right? They can't deal with it. It's driving them crazy. They don't know which way. They don't know if they're coming or going right now. But I'm really happy with all the things that have gone down this week. And here we go. We talked about all the stuff that's happened. The biggest story, of course, is the Grusch stuff. Grusch coming forward, and then of course you had another big story here. The anonymous sources talking about that other people that were actually in contact with Grusch telling Michael Schellenberger that there are 12 craft that have been at least 12 craft. I want to make that clear. At least 12 craft that have been recovered by the United States here and apparently in some other places too. You had that story, and of course we still have the up in the air Las Vegas story, right? I'm leaning real. Other people are leaning phony and hoax. Okay, we'll see how that all turns out. And now we also have this story from the Daily Mail exclusive. Marine vet breaks 14-year silence to make astonishing claim that his 6-man unit saw a hovering octagonal UFO being loaded with weapons by unmarked U.S. forces who threatened them at gunpoint while serving in Indonesia in 2009. Wow, what a headline that is. Okay, there's all these commercials popping up on here, so I'm going to get them out of here. Okay, let's see here. It says a former Marine claims he and 5 comrades saw a flying saucer being loaded with weapons while serving in Indonesia in 2009 and was threatened at gunpoint by unmarked U.S. forces at the scene. The wild story comes after an Air Force whistleblower from the government UFO office joined growing numbers of intelligence officials claiming the United States has recovered and is even reverse engineering crashed or landed non-human spacecraft. Michael Herrera was a 20-year-old rifleman sent on Navy humanitarian mission during the 2009 Sumatra earthquake and tsunami that devastated the region. In an exclusive interview with Daily Mail, he claims that while guarding an airdrop of aid supplies outside the city of Padang in October that year, his 6-man unit stumbled across a hovering octagonal craft in apparent use by clandestine U.S. forces. Wow. So it looks like we might be actually making use of some of these objects, or maybe we have reverse engineered them successfully. We don't really know if this story is true. It says here, after 14 years of silence, Herrera was emboldened by new UFO whistleblower protections and in April testified under oath to the government's UFO investigation team, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, as well as a Senate committee. He provided his unblemished 4-year service record and texts about the incident with an alleged fellow witness who refused to talk, saying it was not worth my life or jeopardizing my family. So he's talking to somebody else and saying, hey, don't bring me into this. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I'm not telling anybody about it. I'm keeping my lips zipped. Yeah, like we were talking just in the recent podcast about how some of the other anonymous sources that were mentioned in Michael Schellenberger's article the other day were scared to death. People are scared to death to talk about it because obviously they receive some sort of threats behind the scenes. Even with the whistleblower language, I guess it doesn't matter, right? Because everybody knows what power can do, right? Peripheral aspects of his account were verified by dailymail.com using military sources, but Herrera, 33, does not have documentation or photos of the incident itself. Well, unfortunately, that's just the way it's going to be with some of these whistleblowers. We're not going to have the documentation. Apparently, David Grusch has been exposed to some documentation from the people that he was talking with on the inside. I mean, how could he not have been, right? He had to have been shown information that listed dates and locations of these crash retrievals. He had to see something that impressed him enough to realize, wow, this is real, right? So anyway, but again, bringing those, apparently whatever Grusch has presented to Congress, that's still classified and we can't see that, right? And also to the IG office. But there is classified information that he put together, and where he got some of that was from the people that he talked to, and probably I'm certain from some documentation that he was shown. But that stuff is all classified, and that's why we're not going to see it. And obviously, I guess it's very difficult if you're in a situation like Herrera here, who's saying that they were threatened. I mean, how you can? It's not like you could have stood there and start taking pictures of this event. Anyway, it says here, the Denver native joined the Marines fresh out of high school. He had been serving for less than 2 years when he was deployed to the Philippines as a member of the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit to help distribute aid in the wake of a typhoon. When a 7.6 magnitude earthquake struck Sumatra on September 30th, 2009, his 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines Echo Company, 2nd Platoon was rerouted to help guard helicopter aid drops around Padang City, beset by violence from local insurgents. Around October 8th, he and 5 Marines were dropped off at a clearing in the northeastern part of the city by a CH-53 chopper and hiked 900 feet up a ridge to take their positions for the incoming supply drop, he said. It was then he spotted a strange object in the jungle on the other side of the hill. I could see something moving and rotating. It was changing colors between a very light matte gray to a very dark matte black, he said. It stuck out like a sore thumb. Oddly, he said, they had not been given radio, so instead of calling it in, they edged down the hill in formation to investigate while Herrera snapped photos and video on the Panasonic camera. The thing was massive. The thing, the size of a football field, he said. So imagine this. The size of a football field. We have objects the size of a football field? Where do we get these from? Wow. The craft was rotating in a clockwise motion while changing colors. It had an audible hum to it, like the sound of a transformer or a guitar amp. It had an octagonal shape with a pyramid at the top of it that was black. So let me just stop right there. Okay, I've heard that sound before, that transformer sound. That's why when I was a kid, I've always talked about this story. When I wake up in the middle of the night, I heard that transformer sound or a guitar amp or whatever, however you want to describe it. I call it a humming sound, an electronic humming sound. But it wasn't no human being that was in the room that night. It was something that had 3 fingers on its hand. That was, I could see through the thin blanket that was over my head. So that's, I know it's, you hear this a lot. Like people say they hear humming sounds. So let's continue with the story. And he says it was octagonal shape with a pyramid at the top of it that was black. So it was octagonal shape and a pyramid that was black on top of it. It had scales that were on the outside of the craft that covered the whole craft. It had seams and sharp edges, which I suspect to be man-made. Nothing on it was smooth. It had some panels on the vertical edges that were like Vanta black. This is an amazing story. Let's scroll down here. It says, according to Arrow's statistics of UAP or UFO reports between 96 and 2003, only 1% are polygons like an octagon, 2% disc shape, while 52% are orbs or spherical. However, an object shot down in February over Lake Huron, Michigan by F-16 fighter jets after their first missile missed was described as octagonal by Congress members briefed on the incident. Herrera claimed that when he and his 5 comrades got within 150 feet of the craft, they were ambushed by 8 men wearing all black camouflage, bulletproof vests, wielding M4 rifles and high-end night vision attachments given to elite U.S. troops. Wow, that's an amazing story. This is an amazing story, right? They had their weapons drawn on us, he said. We could audibly hear their weapon safety levers flipping off safe. Who the F are you guys? What are you doing here? 2 of them yelled with American accents. They said we weren't supposed to be there and that they could kill us. As the men continued to threaten them, took the Marines' weapons, dumped their ammunition, and scanned their military IDs, Herrera said he saw others loading large weapon cases and other containers from modified Ford F-350 trucks onto a platform beneath the craft. When the last 2 trucks finished unloading and drove off, the lower part of the platform rose off the ground to about 10 feet, and the craft lowered to meet it, and it came together in one piece. On the corners of the craft, it had lights that were changing between blue, red, yellow, and green. It rose off the ground and a little past the tires, then shot off to our left towards the ocean at about 4,000 miles per hour. We can't believe this effing happened. From a dead stop, it didn't make any sound like a sonic boom. It didn't disturb the trees like rotor wash would. We could see coconuts on the trees and none of them were disturbed. Herrera said the 8 unmarked soldiers gave them back their unloaded guns and marched them back over the hill, still telling us how they could kill us. Once we got over the hill, they told us to get the F away from here and don't look back. So there you go. I'll leave the link for this story so you can check out the rest of it for yourself. But what's going on here? I mean, I guess I'm. It's a stunning story. If this is true, well, what the hell's going on here? What's happening? What's happening? I mean, are we actually working with aliens? Have we successfully recovered the craft? And some of these things flying around are actually now operated by uh, people in our own military? Is that what's going on? Is there some sort? I mean, a lot of people say I find this hard to believe, right? I do. I honestly got to point this out. I find this terribly hard to believe, right? But I don't believe. I just have trouble always when I think about this. You hear people saying that there's an agreement between the United States government and extraterrestrials, but then you hear something like this, and it makes you start wondering. Oh my God, is it real? Are they really doing this? I mean, did it really happen? Maybe. I mean, it sounds crazy to me that that something like that would be possible. Like you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Is that we have some sort of a deal in place? Okay, yeah, go ahead, abduct all the people and cattle you want, right? Do whatever you want, and just give us your technology, and we'll take it from there. And then everyone will be happy, right? The heck with everybody else. What's going on here? Or did they actually? Is that a recovered craft? Or maybe it's a modified recovered craft? I mean, what did this guy Herrera see? It's an amazing story, and again, we need more information on it. But I want to go back to some of the comments. Okay, let's see. Got Saywan Pete, the retaliation lawyers, and this is in regard to did their part. They completed their part successfully. I totally agree. I think what you're seeing online right now, Saywan, is the fact that they're just trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. The naysayers. That's what you're seeing there. I mean, to me, that story there was a nothing burger. I mean, we had the big story early on in the week. Okay, now he has his law firm. They did their part. They're moving on. Okay, I'm sure he has more lawyers or another attorney other attorneys to represent him going forward. But they did their part. I mean, that's their business. That's their business. Are these kind of complaints? So they said they successfully did it, just like it was pointed out by other people online. So that's a non-story. But then, of course, we have these other stories coming out too, which is just, to me, this is the biggest week ever that I've ever seen as far as efforts to finally get to this, the disclosure, to get to the truth. Finally, it seems like we're getting somewhere. Really, we really are. And you could tell. You know how you could tell? You could tell by looking. Go ahead, go. If you haven't checked it out, you should go on Twitter. And if you're not a follower on Twitter, and just look at all the debunkers on there. Just type in UFO Twitter and look at all the tweets, and you'll see so many people panicking and saying and going to depths of nastiness about other people, making statements that you wouldn't see them regularly make. They're devolving. It's in a way it's fun to see because they're panicking. I think that what you're seeing online right now is that a lot of these people who have been spewing against this for so long are seeing the walls closing in on them. Just like we're being bombarded this whole week with one big story after another after another. I mean, basically, we had three major stories that have been bombarded. I mean, when you look about the David Grusch revelations, right? You have that. Then you have the other whistleblowers that talk to Michael Schellenberger, right? You have that about the 12 recovered craft that we have, at least. And then you have this story now with Herrera talking about this Indonesia incident back in 2009, right? And of course, on top of it, we have the Las Vegas story, but which is still, okay, it's up in the air, but I don't think anybody should. I still think that needs more investigation before anyone starts calling it over with you. But we had a big week. Admittedly, I think a lot of us would agree with that. This is a big week, and guess what? This might only be the beginning. There might be bigger weeks to come. Unfortunately, there was a lot of other things going on. A lot of the mainstream news this whole week really hasn't really been commenting on this. The only thing was News Nation. We have the other interview to look forward to Sunday night, Ross Coulthart on News Nation with David Grusch. That's something to look forward to. Next week, we got the National Press Club UFO stuff with Stephen Greer. Of course, some of us have issues with Greer, but hey, maybe we're going to get some more big news next week from other people. Who knows? So this is only the beginning, folks. I really believe this is a great week, one of the best weeks ever. Actually, as far as I'm concerned, during my lifetime, I've never seen anything like it. It's been fantastic, and the hits keep on coming. So yeah, that again, like Saywan said, the retaliation lawyers did their part. That part's a nothing burger. It's the bigger story that that happened earlier in the week. That's what to focus on. Okay, let's see what else. We saw from Lord Humongous, everything crashes if it is shot down. Just saying. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who knows how some of these things crash too? I mean, a lot of people, for instance, the Roswell thing, a lot of people believe that came down because of a lightning storm. It was a heavy lightning storm. In fact, Mac Brazel had indicated to someone that there was a loud storm that night, and he heard one of the lightning strikes sounded louder and different than the other ones did. Did he actually hear a saucer getting hit and destroyed? Could have. And then who knows from there on out, right after that, over the years, we've been collecting these things, obviously. Okay, Dream Merchant says, Project Sign said they knew motherships were just outside Earth's atmosphere and will send their reconnaissance grades and smaller UFOs down to Earth. Yeah. There was discussion back in the 50s for sure. There was talk about motherships. They knew there was actually some people, some intelligence officers actually thought that this was at that time back in the 50s, whether it is or not now, but at that time they thought this was a colonization program that was on, that the reason these things showed up all of a sudden, the reason they showed up in force starting in the late 40s was because there was something coming here to colonize the planet. That was a theory that was running around in the highest echelons of the Pentagon during portions of the 50s. And of course, if they're going to get here, they're going to come here in bigger ships than those little flying saucers that everyone was seeing. But people do sometimes see the big ones. And that's another comment from Fokker Wolf. Reminds me of the good old days when James McGaha would shoot down any and all UFO reports because of reasons. Exactly. Yeah. Remember James McGaha? Wow, that guy. Boy, that guy used to get under my skin. When CNN, would have someone on like Stanton Friedman, and then next thing you know, they'd roll out James McGaha, and this McGaha doesn't even know what he's talking about. Yeah, like you hear these debunkers, they don't have anything. They never research anything. McGaha, Michael Shermer, Mick West, they just make proclamations, from their armchairs. They don't ever really go investigate anything, right? They just make proclamations. Like by McGaha, one of his big stupid things was when he was saying that the event in 1980 in Rendlesham Forest, that was the lighthouse. It was a lighthouse. That's all they saw. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Dream Merchant says, according to Project Sign, they traced the motherships were coming from the rings and moons of Saturn. Norman Berggren investigated and called them the ringmakers of Saturn. Yeah, and then Dream Merchant also says, I'm under the impression it's the mantis beings in control of everything. Well, that's what David Jacobs comes to the conclusion of. I guess I don't really know what the story is. All I know, I don't think a lot of us I think are just speculating on what the reasons are, why they're here, what they're up to. Are they here just for study or just checking us out? Are they here to do something else, colonize the planet? I don't know. They're here though. They are here. There's something here, for no question about it. And another thing, I want to point this out, and I bring this up every now and then. I think it's important to bring this up again right now, is that if the government doesn't know about these things, right, then we are in big trouble when you really think about it. Like say all the stuff that the debunkers are saying is true, that there is no cover up, right? That the United States government has nothing in its possession whatsoever at all, nothing. All of this stuff is all phony. It's all made up. It's all some fairy tale made up by a bunch of people. Say that was true. Then guess what, folks? We are in giant trouble. Actually, the Pentagon should be telling us, hey, it is true. Don't worry about it. We got it under control. That's what they should be saying, because there are millions of people who have encountered these things. Millions of people. I'm one of them. I know that they exist. I've seen one of those craft up close with my own eyeballs. Me and another witness, like I always talk about. So, and there's millions of other people the same, right? There are things out there that are definitely not made by human beings. And the thing that I saw was definitely not made by a human being because it did things that human aircraft cannot do. So there are things out there. So if they're telling us that, there's nothing here, we don't know anything about it, well, then I guess we're in really big trouble. You mean to tell us after all these years, since 1947, you still haven't figured it out? That's my opinion on all this stuff. I mean, we are in giant trouble if they don't know anything about these things. Anyway, let's see what else. Some of the comments here. Tons of Brick says, all I can say is that Whistleblower is telling the truth. Mr. Sean Kirkpatrick is going to jail. Also, Stephen Greer is about to release a bunch of stuff Monday in DC. Yes, I'm looking forward to see what Greer has. I'm not a big fan of some of the things that he does to make money and stuff like that. Like, I'm not going to get into that right now. But I gotta admit, I'm looking forward to some of the things he's going to bring forward pretty soon. JD says the way some of these debunkers are arguing against the most important story in human history makes me suspicious. They are either working on disinformation or the phenomenon itself is influencing them. It could be a combination of all these things. It could be a combination of that, and it could also be a combination of their innermost fears. I mean, this is not something. I mean, let's say, for instance, say that Vegas story is absolutely legitimate. I mean, that means that's scary to a lot of people, that you could just be sitting in, if you're somewhere, next thing you know, 2 seconds later, there are giant 10-foot beings walking around your backyard. People aren't going to like that information. They don't want this to be true. So it could be the innermost fears of these people. That's why they're fighting back against it. That's why there's a need for debunkers. They realize this, and that's why they put out the statements that they do, because they know that there are people out there that want to be told, hey, there's nothing to this. All right, there's nothing to this. JD also says Linda Moulton Howe has always been a little too far, but no, I'm starting to wonder if she has a lot of the truth. Well, I think the one thing that Linda Moulton Howe is definitely onto is the fact that she's definitely right about, I think, is the cattle mutilations. That's her focus of expertise is definitely the cattle mutilations. If it wasn't for her work, there would be a lot more questions, but I think it's pretty clear that there's at least a good chunk of these mysterious cattle mutilations. I believe that there are extraterrestrials responsible. That's just my opinion. Doesn't make me right. Mommy and daddy lied to them, says Food and Water Music. To the debunkers. Yeah, they can't handle the truth. You're right. Jeremy F says, I just hope all this doesn't get stuck in the bureaucratic mud, giving these black programs time to relocate the crafts. Well, I don't think it is going to get back put in the bureaucratic mud, because we have, you do have, there's a House hearing going to be coming up here soon. Tim Burchett has talked about it, to talk with some of these whistleblowers to get to the bottom of this. There are some people in Congress that do want to get to the truth. So thank God for that. So this is not over yet. I don't think it's going to get buried in bureaucratic mud. I think the UFO community needs to be coming out strong right now. I mean, I wish more people would actually do more podcasts. I think if we just overload the web with more people talking about this and complaining, and they want the truth out there, that's one thing we should think about doing. More people need to come forward and demand answers, demand the end of this secrecy. Alien Love says, I don't think we're going to get one single disclosure moment, but a series of little ones so as to minimize the civilizational trauma. That could be true, and I agree with you. And I think that's perhaps what might be happening. Although there are some people out there like myself who think that we should just rip the Band-Aid off and let's give it to us straight, Doc. Give it to me straight, Doc. I want to hear it. That's where I'm at with it. I rather than this playing tiddlywinks over long periods of time. I think it doesn't make me right, though. Maybe the people in the Pentagon that have been keeping this secret, they might know things that we don't know. That's something else to keep in mind. Let's see. Rob Heatherly says 3 radar systems over Manhattan Project to ensure no unauthorized flyovers. Speculation that intense radar system brought down Roswell craft. Yeah, that has been something that's been said before. Let's see what else here. Marcus Mac Shameron says, hello from Sydney, Australia. Thanks for the podcast. I've been listening for months and enjoy it. Thank you very much. And also Fokker Wolf says, so with all this going on, is Antarctica off the radar? I don't know. But I just think that this has been a huge week, and there's still, hey, I think next week could be even proved to be even bigger. I mean, we're going to start off tomorrow's Sunday, right? It's tomorrow night, Sunday night, basically at this time tomorrow night, 24 hours from now, we're going to be watching that complete Ross Coulthard interview, right? That's going to premiere at 9 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday night on News Nation. We're going to be seeing that, and we're going to be seeing also the on Monday, you have the press club stuff, and who knows who's else, what other whistleblower story might be popping up next week. It's it's becoming like for the debunkers out there, it's too much to handle. It's becoming like whack-a-mole, basically. So yeah, I think we're getting somewhere. And again, I would urge people, hey, with regard to that other one I was talking about, the Las Vegas stuff, I think more research needs to be done before everyone just starts labeling it a hoax. I mean, there's some things out there that have been provided. Let's find out if they are hoaxes or not. There was images, right? There's things out there. There's some evidence to go along with the story. Let's let it all play out first before tagging it out. It's just a hoax. No, I think more information needs to be gathered before everyone starts doing that. And as far as the other stuff is going with the other big news of the week, Grusch and the other whistleblowers, the 12 Craft, and now Herrera and the incident in Indonesia. Well, yeah, this is a huge week, and hopefully things are just going to keep moving forward. And hopefully it becomes overwhelming. Hopefully this whole bubble is going to finally burst. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping the bubble. I hope we're very close to this bubble just bursting, and that's it, right? That's what I'm hoping for, because we need to end this secrecy stuff. It's tiring. It's tiring. A lot of us out there just want more information. That's all. We just want to know more. We want to know what they know or what's going on here. Just tell us. Get it over with. All right, I'm going to wrap this up, everyone. I do appreciate everyone joining me today. It was a lot of fun. And there was one more comment here from Fokker Wolf. It says, absolute mainstream media silence here in Germany about all this. Well, yeah, there is a lot of mainstream media silence. That's been another shame. I'm going to do a podcast on that pretty soon about the mainstream media and how they've been acting with this information coming out. I just think they're just not educated enough. They don't even know where to begin. I think a lot of these people are just, that could be it. I was thinking about it. It could be that they're just so uneducated about this. They've never read any books about this, and so they just don't even know where to start when they hear stuff like this. They're not aware of the history of this. They never read any books that laid out a historical overview of this phenomenon. They're just not aware of anything, and that's one of their problems. But yeah. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for joining me, and until next time.